Here are the top stories for today, May 6, 2020. Malacanang says ABS-CBN can exhaust all its legal remedies after the NTC ordered it to stop its operations. The government is calling for volunteers to help man its testing centers nationwide. Malacanang vows to protect whistleblowers in anomalous SAP distributions. And Ramadan Mass Assembly suspended amid the general community quarantine in BARMM. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Our top story for today, the National Telecommunication Commission or NTC issued a cease and desist order against ABS-CBN following the expiration of its congressional franchise. Malacanang says ABS-CBN is free to exhaust all legal remedies available. More on this from Janice Cave.
Malacanang on Tuesday said media giant ABS-CBN is free to exhaust all legal remedies available after the National Telecommunications Commission ordered it to stop its operations. The NTC issued a cease and desist order against ABS-CBN following the expiration of its congressional franchise on May 4, 2020. In a statement, the palace said the NTC has issued a cease and desist order against ABS-CBN for lack of a valid legislative franchise. ABS-CBN is free to exhaust all legal remedies available to it. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said President Duterte has already accepted the network's apology, so he was leaving the matter to the Congress. In its order dated May 5, the NTC directed the network to halt operations of its various TV and radio broadcast stations nationwide. The NTC has also given ABS-CBN 10 days from the receipt of the order to respond as to why the frequencies assigned to it should not be recalled. ABS-CBN in a statement said it will go off the air starting Tuesday night. Solicitor General Jose Calida said the NTC commissioners could face prosecution under the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act if it decides to issue the provisional authority to ABS-CBN. Justice Secretary Minardo Guevara said ABS-CBN may continue with its operations pending the renewal of its franchise. Roque expressed confidence that Congress would tackle all the issues on the legality of granting a franchise to ABS-CBN, including the broadcast firm's supposed violation of the 1987 Constitution when it allowed foreign ownership of the Philippine media entity. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Several senators on Tuesday expressed varying opinions after the NTC ordered ABS-CBN to stop its television and radio broadcast operations. Senator Christopher Lawrence Bongo said the matter of allowing ABS-CBN to operate after the NTC order is now with the House of Representatives. He says there is a bill seeking to renew the franchise of the media corporation now pending before the lower house. Go is urging the House of Representatives to act on this matter with due haste. Senator Grace Poe echoed Go's position, saying the ball is in the court of the House where legislative franchises emanate. Poe expressed fears that the development may lead to the displacement of thousands of ABS-CBN workers. Meanwhile, Senate Majority Leader Juan Miguel Zubiri said the NTC order is irregular and improper amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Zubiri said the network company could go to the Supreme Court and cite these instances to ask for a temporary restraining order. For Senator Sani Angara, the NTC order seems ill-advised and heavy-handed from the standpoint of law and public policy. He pointed out that both the Senate and the House and even the Department of Justice have issued resolutions and opinions favoring the issuance of a provisional authority to operate pending congressional deliberations on its legislative franchise renewal. Senator Risa Ontiveros said the NTC's cease and desist order is ill-timed and insensitive to the needs of the public. Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon, on the other hand, condemned the NTC order as contrary to law and grave abuse of discretion. Senator Francis Pangilinan echoed Drilon in saying that the NTC action was highly irregular and grave abuse of discretion. The NTC gave the network 10 days from receipt of the order to respond respond as to why the frequencies assigned to it should not be recalled. The government is meanwhile ramping up its testing capacity and is calling on volunteers to help in manning the swabbing centers. Malacanang has called on medical professionals, medical students, and government employees to volunteer in manning the swabbing centers that the government will put up under its Test, Trace, Treat or T3 program. Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea has called on government employees to volunteer as encoders, among other tasks, to help in the operations. National Policy Against COVID-19 Deputy Chief Implementer Vivencio Dizon said this is a call to all Filipinos, especially those involved in medical professions, including those who are still studying, to heed our call for swabbers and other volunteers to help us in this big task for testing. Dizon said there will be 4 mega swabbing centers that are set to be completed next week under the T3 program. The government also eyes to operate a total of 78 laboratory testing centers by end of May. The swabbing booths will ensure that health workers will be protected from getting infected while providing all frontliners with personal protective equipment. Personnel in the swabbing centers will work on a 6-hour shift, and there will also be mandatory 2-week quarantine. The LTFRB says they are not expecting traffic in the areas under the general community quarantine. And the Joint Task Force Coronavirus Shield says they are all set to assist returning OFWs. More on these and other news around the metro from Laid Cabagani.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board on Tuesday said it does not expect a surge in the number of PUVs or passengers despite lowering the maximum capacity of public utility vehicles to half in areas under a general community quarantine. LTFRB Chair Martin Delgra III said areas put under a GCQ would only allow a limited number of PUVs to resume operation as the LTFRB expects lower demand for public transport. Delgra said based on the demand for public transport, the LTFRB will issue special permits to operate in GCQ areas with preference to PUVs with higher capacities such as buses, followed by modern jeepneys, traditional jeepneys, vans, and tricycles. He said PUV routes will also be altered or reduced based on the needs of each region. In other news, the Joint Task Force Coronavirus Shield on Tuesday said it is ready to assist returning overseas Filipino workers who are being denied entry into their hometowns. JTF-CV's Shield Commander Lieutenant General Guillermo Eleazar said, like the medical frontliners, the OFWs do not deserve to be discriminated against and unfairly treated in their own land. He added that President Rodrigo Duterte himself said the sacrifices and contribution of the OFWs to our economy should not be repaid with these kinds of unfair treatment. Eleazar urged the returning OFWs to call the hotlines of the JTF-CV Shield if they feel they are being discriminated. Meanwhile, the Monetary Board has approved prudential measures to assist the micro, small, and medium enterprise sectors to carry on with its business during the COVID-19 crisis. This includes the temporary reduction in the credit risk weights of loans granted to MSMEs. The assignment of a 0% risk weight to loans that are guaranteed by the Agricultural Guarantee Fund Pool and the Agricultural Credit Policy Council, and to enable stand-alone thrift banks, rural banks, and cooperative banks to continue to support their MSME and rural community-based clients. The revised capital adequacy framework will now take effect on January 1, 2023 instead of January 1, 2022. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Laid Cabagani.
Still to come, Malacanang vows to protect whistleblowers in anomalous SAP distributions. And IP leaders are dismayed over the alleged neglect of Bayan Muna in helping their tribe amid the COVID-19 pandemic. More on this when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Kagaling ko lang ng grocery. Siyempre, hindi ko hahayaan na pumasok ang COVID-19 sa bahay at mapahamak ang pamilya ko. Kaya iiwan ko ang sapatos ko sa labas. At ngayon, maghuhugas ako ng kamay ng 20 seconds. O ayan, wala na ang virus. Tandaan, buhay ng pamilya natin na nakasalalay. Let's heal as one.
Alam niyo ba na pumapasok ang COVID-19 sa ating katawan sa pamamagitan ng mata, ilong at bibig? Kaya lagi kaming conscious dito sa bahay kapag umuubo kami. Lagi kami naghuhugas ng kamay in 20 seconds. Pag lumalabas kami, lagi namin suot ang mask. Lagi lang natin tatandaan mga mamshi. Buhay ng pamilya natin ang nakasalalay dito. Let's heal as one.
Alamin ang tamang paraan ng pag-ubo upang mapigilan ang paglaganap ng Coronavirus Disease 2019. Ugaliing magdala ng panyo o tissue. Kung uubo o babahing, takpan ang buong ilong at bibig gamit ang panyo o tissue. Kung walang dalang panyo o tissue, maaaring gamitin ang braso na pantakip. Kung nakararamdam na kailangan umubo o bumahing, agad na dumistansya sa mga tao sa paligid. Huwag dumura kung saan-saan, gumamit ng tissue at itapon sa basurahan. Ugaliin ang paghuhugas ng kamay at paggamit ng alcohol o hand sanitizer upang mamatay ang mikrobyo. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Malacanang on Tuesday vowed protection for individuals who will report government officials involved in the anomalous distribution of cash aid intended for poor families affected by the COVID-19 outbreak. The promise was made a day after President Rodrigo Duterte offered a cash reward of 30,000 pesos to those who can name public officials proven to be pocketing emergency subsidies under the Social Amelioration Program. Duterte on Monday night took a jab at Danilo Flores, a village councilor of Hagonoy, Bulacan, for allegedly pocketing almost half of the 6,000 peso cash aid for each poor household in his turf. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said criminal complaints against local officials could be lodged before the PNP or the National Bureau of Investigation, while administrative complaints could be issued before the Department of the Interior and local government. He said the public could also report the erring public officials through the 8888 Citizens Complaint Hotline. The LGUs in Metro Manila, Cavite, Laguna, Rizal, Bulacan, Cebu City, and Davao City have until April 7 to finish the distribution of financial aid to poor households. In our business news, Philippine Airlines and Cebu Pacific on Tuesday announced their preparations as they anticipate resumption of flight operations. All local carriers have temporarily suspended flights until May 15 in line with the ongoing enhanced community quarantine in Metro Manila and select areas. In a statement, CEB said it will cater to a limited number of domestic routes once flight operations resume. Passengers may expect a new normal in the form of contactless flights, such as encouraging passengers to check in online and observing physical distancing. Both Cebu Pacific and PAL would require passengers to wear face masks throughout the entire flight. The two also noted the thorough disinfection of cabins and the availability of sanitizers. Meanwhile, PAL said the resumption of commercial flights would depend on the travel demand, the safety, as well as the restrictions imposed by various governments. PAL has mounted several sweeper flights to ferry stranded nationals out of the country. Indigenous peoples leaders in the Surigao del Sur towns of Lianga and Marihatag are dismayed over the alleged neglect of Bayan Muna party list representative Euphemia Kulamat of the Manobo tribe amid the COVID-19 crisis. In a statement on Tuesday, Hawudon Jumar Bucales, the indigenous people's mandatory representative in Lianga, accused Kulamat of being selective in helping the IPs. Bucales claimed Kulamat played favorites towards the members of Mapasu, a leftist IP organization with connections to the New People's Army or NPA. Tribal chieftain Datu Constancio Duhac also said that Kulyamat failed to allocate anything for the establishment of IP schools and farm-to-market roads in the area. Duhac said the Bayan Muna Solon has not been seen by the Manobos for a long time, nor did they hear any help from the lawmaker amid the COVID-19 pandemic. In a separate statement, the Army's 3rd Special Forces Battalion said Sitio Simuwao in Lianga and Sitio Luknodon in Marihatag are some of the communities that have openly rejected the NPA and the Mapasu. The local government units of Lianga and Marihatag distributed some 200 food packs among the Manobo families in both towns. Local government units in the provinces continue to work on assisting their residents in returning home from being stranded in areas affected by the Enhanced Community Quarantine or ECQ. More on this from Ruth Abby Gita Carlos.
The Negros Occidental Provincial Government continues to assist Negrenses stranded in various parts of the country, including a group of overseas Filipino workers who are still in Cebu. As of Tuesday, some 1,614 persons have registered in the capital's Humanitarian and Response Cluster online database covering April 20 to May 3. Earlier, 27 OFWs, all residents of Negros Occidental, were accommodated by the province after they arrived at the Bredco port in Bacolod on April 28. This will be the second group of OFWs who will travel from Cebu after the first batch of 35 persons who arrived in the province on April 14. Meanwhile, the city government of Davao is exerting all efforts to locate overseas Filipino workers stranded in different places of the country and wanting to come home. The local government is currently sourcing data from the Davao City Stranded Persons Database Center. A sweeper flight for stranded residents was scheduled to depart on Wednesday from Manila to Davao, which will carry some 400 passengers. The first sweeper flight that arrived Monday in Clark from this city was loaded with 150 passengers, while passengers from the Clark-Davao flight only numbered 40. In other news, 19 North Cotabato residents stranded outside the province due to the lockdowns have arrived home, according to the Province Task Force Sagip on Monday. On Monday, they were welcomed by a team of provincial government officials in the borders of Makilala in North Cotabato and Bansalan, Davao del Sur. The TF Sagip guidelines require that all rescued Cotabateños will have to undergo another 14-day quarantine before they are allowed to return to their respective towns of origin. To date, some 4,000 individuals consisting of migrant workers, laid-off workers, and stranded tourists and students have registered with TF Sagip for a chance to come home soon in the province. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Ruth Abby Gita Carlos.
Up next, Ramadan Mass Assembly is suspended amid the general community quarantine in a BARMM. And a wedding ceremony was held at the border as a couple could not cross and be together due to strict quarantine protocols. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Mga mommies, pagdating sa COVID-19, dapat hindi tayo kampante. Bagamat hindi nakikita ang sakit na ito ay nakamamatay. At hanggang ngayon wala pa rin lunas. Kaya protektahan natin ang ating pamilya. Laging maghugas ng kamay, huwag hahawakan ng mukha, at manatili sa bahay para makaiwas sa sakit na ito. Tandaan, buhay ng pamilya natin ang nakasalalay dito. Let's hear this one.
Hi Caps! Kamusta?
Well, ito dahil sa COVID-19, medyo stress.
Okay lang yan Caps. Napagdaanan ko din yan.
Ano kaya pwede natin gawin, no?
Kung nararamdaman mo na gulong-gulo ka na sa mga naririnig mo, sa mga nababasa mo, mag-pause ka muna, saka ka huminga ng malalim.
Buti na lang tumawag ka. Iba talaga pag may nangangamusta.
A strong body starts with a strong mind.
Tama. Let's heal us one.
Tandaan ang tamang paraan ng paghuhugas at paglilinis ng kamay upang makaiwas sa iba't ibang karamdaman. Basain ng tubig ang mga kamay at sabunin. Unang sabunin ang mga palad at ang likod ng mga kamay. Kuskusin na maigi ang pagitan ng mga daliri at maging ang mga kuko. Isunod ang pagitan ng mga hinlalaki at kuskusin ng paikot ang mga dulo ng mga daliri sa magkabilang palad. Banlawang mabuti ang mga kamay sa malinis na tubig at patuyuin ang mga kamay gamit ang single-use towel o air dryer. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
The congressional prayers in observance of the fasting month of Ramadan remain suspended despite the shifting of the enhanced community quarantine to general community quarantine mode. Abu Huraira Udusan, Grand Mufti in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, said that the decision of the Darul Ifta, or the Islamic House of Opinion, is primarily for the safety of everyone. He issued the clarification after reports that some Muslim faithful started congressional prayers every 6 p.m. in small mosques across the region before breaking the fast. He said aside from fasting, not holding congregational prayer is a form of sacrifice. Udasan instead appealed to all Muslims observing fasting to practice charity and extend aid when capable to help the needy and those who have nothing to eat due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Fasting in observance of Ramadan commenced on April 23 and is expected to end on May 22nd. In our foreign news, more than $8 billion has been pledged to fight the deadly worldwide COVID-19 pandemic. This means the International Coronavirus Global Response Conference could reach its goal to mobilize at least $8 billion for diagnostics, treatment, and vaccines. European Commission head Ursula von der Leyen on Monday praised governments and global health organizations for joining forces. Von der Leyen also warned that the donor conference was only the beginning of the pledge marathon that needs to continue. She said she expects civil society and people worldwide to join in what she called a global mobilization of hope and resolve. The EU, as an international organization, offered $1.09 billion for the cause, while its member states also contributed. China also offered $50 million, Japan $830 million, and Canada $600 million. More than 3,000 children benefited on Monday from the feeding program through the mobile kitchen of the Davao de Oro provincial government. The provincial government on Tuesday said its Kusina ng Kalinga program aims to feed about 14,000 children with nutritious food to ease the impact of the COVID-19 crisis on families. Governor J.V. Tyrone Uy said the feeding program through the province's mobile kitchen aims to promote the spirit of volunteerism. The mobile kitchen was first piloted in Barangay Union, Moncayo Town on April 24, where 1,000 children were given nutritious food. On April 27, the mobile kitchen team went to the New Bataan Resettlement Project 1 in Barangay San Roque, New Bataan. The provincial government also thanked the Davao Multipurpose Seed Producers Cooperative for donating 23 sacks of rice. Not even the tension and danger brought by COVID-19 could stop a couple from Capiz from pushing through with their wedding on Monday. Due to strict border protocols, Private First Class Brian Garino and Elin Fuyonan decided to exchange their vows between the border of Bingawan, Iloilo and Tapas, Capiz. Garino is assigned at the Philippine Army's 6th Forward Service Support Unit deployed in Iloilo, which is classified as a high-risk area for COVID-19. The wedding was held at a waiting shed where only 2 of their relatives stood as witnesses. The frontliners on the borders also continued with their duties while the ceremony was being held. Everyone in attendance wore face masks and practiced social distancing. Puyonan said it might not be her ideal wedding, but it has shown the world that love can conquer even the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Malacanang says ABS-CBN can exhaust all its legal remedies after the NTC ordered it to stop its operations. The government is calling for volunteers to help man its testing centers nationwide. Malacanang vows to protect whistleblowers in anomalous SAP distributions. And Ramadan Mass Assembly suspended amid the general community quarantine in BARMM. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check out more news content, check our webpage or head onto the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day. Stay at home.